Hold up, did we just uncover the wildest betrayal in hip-hop history? Or is this just another episode of Love and Hip Hop, Harlem Scandal Edition? Because what we're about to break down will have you clutching your pearls, hiding your boo, and side-eyeing every late-night link-up from now on. Camron, yes, Killa Cam. Pink Mink King himself got caught slipping into a private rendezvous with none other than Chrissy Lampkin. And guess what? Jim Jones had no idea. Are we serious right now? This isn't a barbershop rumor, baby. This is full-blown camera dodging, backdoor slipping, whispered in the shadows scandal, and it's all starting to bubble over. What exactly were they doing that had to be kept so hush-hush? Why were they meeting in private villas, exclusive rooftop lounges, and avoiding every known paparazzi hotspot like their lives depended on it? And when Jim found out, let's just say a table or two may have been flipped. The Dipset dynasty might never recover from this one, and we're just scratching the surface. So grab your popcorn, turn your phone on Do Not Disturb, and stay right where you are. Because this mess is deeper than Chrissy's engagement timeline, and trust us, you don't want to miss a single second. Hold up, did we just uncover the wildest betrayal in hip-hop history? Or is this just another episode of Love and Hip Hop, Harlem Scandal Edition? Because what we're about to break down will have you clutching your pearls, hiding your boo, and side-eyeing every late-night link-up from now on. Camron, yes, Killa Cam. Pink Mink King himself got caught slipping into a private rendezvous with none other than Chrissy Lampkin. And guess what? Jim Jones had no idea. Are we serious right now? This isn't a barbershop rumor, baby. This is full-blown camera dodging, backdoor slipping, whispered in the shadows scandal, and it's all starting to bubble over. What exactly were they doing that had to be kept so hush-hush? Why were they meeting in private villas, exclusive rooftop lounges, and avoiding every known paparazzi hotspot like their lives depended on it? And when Jim found out, let's just say a table or two may have been flipped. The Dipset dynasty might never recover from this one, and we're just scratching the surface. So grab your popcorn, turn your phone on Do Not Disturb, and stay right where you are. Because this mess is deeper than Chrissy's engagement timeline, and trust us, you don't want to miss a single second. The moment whispers turned into screams and that mysterious USB drive landed in Jim Jones' hands, it was like someone lit a match in a room full of gasoline. What was once speculation exploded into full-blown panic, and the Harlem streets were buzzing like someone dropped a nuclear secret. Jim didn't even have to say a word, his silence spoke volumes. His usual social media antics, gone. Studio selfies, ghosted. And if you thought Chrissy was going to lay low and ride the storm quietly, think again. Sis was out here doing damage. Control like her name was Olivia Pup, calling up friends, issuing private voice notes swearing that it was all being twisted out of proportion, that Camron was just a friend, and that people love to hate what they don't understand. But here's the thing, people understood exactly what they saw. You don't sit on an old friend's lap in a penthouse suite unless you're trying to stir up a whole different kind of nostalgia. And as for Camron, he pulled a Houdini. Vanished from the spotlight like a man who knows he's guilty but just hasn't figured out how to spin the story yet. Not a post, not a tweet, not even a passive-aggressive meme. The silence from all three sides became deafening, and naturally, fans did what fans do best, start digging. And baby, they didn't have to dig far. Photos started resurfacing. One from a low-key party just months ago where Chrissy and Cam were in the same frame. A little too close, a little too comfortable, and a little too cozy for Jim's name to even be mentioned. Then came the alleged receipts, anonymous DMs claiming to have spotted the duo shopping together in Beverly Hills, pulling up in Cam's car, Chrissy wearing shades bigger than her morals, trying not to be seen. It was all starting to make sense. And the streets weren't quiet anymore. They were loud, rowdy, and thirsty for blood. Every gossip blog from the Shade Room knockoffs to basement YouTubers were reporting on Camracy. Yes, people were already shipping it like some twisted fanfiction, while Jim was left looking like the last one to realize he was the butt of a joke gone way too far. Industry insiders began weighing in too, claiming this wasn't even new, that Chrissy and Cam always had a vibe, and that it had only gotten bolder once Jim and Cam's friendships started fraying years ago. Some even said Cam always held a grudge against Jim, that he never forgave him for stepping out of line during the Dipset split, and what better revenge than going after the one person Jim truly trusted. If that's true, then this isn't just betrayal, it's a decades-long grudge disguised as romance. Now let's talk about the reactions because they've been nothing short of explosive. Fans who followed Chrissy since day one were stunned. The same woman who fought tooth and nail for Jim on national TV, who begged him to commit, who stood by him through legal issues, label drama, and mama drama, is now the center of this twisted triangle. Twitter practically broke into factions: Team Chrissy, Team Jim, and the very confused but very entertained Team Cam. Some fans defended Chrissy, saying maybe she finally gave up on waiting for Jim to marry her. Others dragged her for filth, calling her disloyal, manipulative, and fame-hungry. And Cam? Oh, he got dragged too. Memes flew like bullets, with people comparing him to that one friend you tell your secrets to, only for him to run off with your girl. The betrayal wasn't just romantic, it was brotherly. Imagine building an empire with someone, sharing stages, splitting profits, surviving shootouts and contracts, only for them to sneak behind your back with your woman like this was a bootleg Greek tragedy. But if you thought that was it, think again. Because the deeper this scandal got, the more names started surfacing. There are now whispers, just whispers for now, that this rendezvous might have been more than a one-time thing. That may be Chrissy. And Cam had been playing this game long before the cameras ever caught up. One alleged friend of Chrissy's even spilled that this wasn't the first time she'd stepped out emotionally. Emotional cheating, they said, was Chrissy's pattern. Jim may have been her man, but Cam made her feel heard. And let's be real, that's the most dangerous kind of connection. One source even claimed Chrissy and Cam were planning a business move together, which sounds innocent until you remember how often business meetings turn into flings in celebrity circles. People are saying maybe this wasn't just scandal, it was strategy. That Chrissy's done waiting for a ring from Jim and is now aligning herself with someone who can keep her relevant and emotionally stimulated all at once. If that's the case, then this whole thing has layers, and none of them look good for Jim. Meanwhile, Jim hasn't confirmed or denied anything, but insiders say he's lawyered up not for divorce, but for brand protection. He allegedly reached out to PR firms to get ahead of the narrative, because if this blows up anymore, sponsors could start backing away, appearances might get cancelled, and his whole public image, already fragile, could take a fatal hit. Dipset was built on brotherhood and loyalty, and now those very pillars are crumbling. Record labels that once saw them as iconic are reportedly rethinking collaborations. Even some of Jim's closest allies have gone quiet, not wanting to get caught in the crossfire of a personal war that's now bleeding into public perception. And yet through all of this, Camron has said nothing. It's almost impressive how a man can cause so much chaos with a single lap sit and still walk around, like he invented the silence treatment. But some say that's just Cam being Cam. He thrives off drama, lets it marinate, and then monetizes it. Don't be surprised if we see him drop a new single next week with a subliminal aimed straight at Jim, just vague enough to deny but obvious enough to stir the pot. And Chrissy? She's trying to spin the narrative. She's been liking suspicious posts, posting cryptic quotes about growth and letting go of what no longer serves you, and suddenly wearing more designer than usual. That glow up? It's not from skincare, sweetheart. It's from emotional chaos and backseat secrets. The streets are saying she's trying to rebrand as the misunderstood queen who simply outgrew Jim and found comfort in an old friend who always knew how to listen. But no one's buying it completely, because no matter how many quotes you post or tears you cry in queue, nothing erases the fact that you got caught up with your man's old partner like this with some low-budget soap opera. And the scariest part? This might not even be the worst of it. One anonymous email sent to a major blog claims that there are more videos, more receipts, that the penthouse clip was just the beginning, and that someone somewhere is sitting on footage that would make even the most jaded fans jaw drop. If that's true, then this scandal is just warming up. The public's eating it up, but behind the scenes? Reputations are crashing, alliances are shifting, and careers are now hanging by a thread. As the tension thickened and the speculation intensified, it became clear that this wasn't just a fleeting scandal, but a full-blown implosion that had quietly been brewing beneath the surface for years. The silence from Jim Jones turned from shock to strategy, and now sources close to him are claiming he's preparing to take the next step, not in reconciliation, but in retaliation. Word is Jim has already started reaching out to trusted media insiders, trying to get ahead of the narrative before Camron spins it into a mixtape punchline. And let's be honest, knowing Cam, He's probably already scribbling bars in his notes app while sipping something expensive and pretending nothing happened. But what Jim didn't expect apparently was that the fallout would reach far beyond the trio. The scandal has started to ripple through the Dipset legacy itself, with longtime affiliates and former collaborators being asked to pick sides in a war that nobody saw coming but everyone secretly suspected. Some are distancing themselves from Kim altogether, not because of loyalty to Jim, but because no one wants their name tied to the kind of betrayal that turns brotherhood into a battlefield. And this battlefield has no rules. As more voices begin to speak out, some are suggesting that Chrissy might have been emotionally checked out of her relationship with Jim long before this secret came to light. One source close to her inner circle claimed that she had grown tired of the same old cycle waiting on a ring that never came, arguing over the same issues and defending a relationship that never seemed to progress. According to that source, Kim was just the final spark in a fire that had been smoldering for years. But the timing of it all? That's what has people side-eyeing her motives. Why now? Why Cam? Why sneak around instead of coming clean? Because no matter how much justification gets thrown into the mix, the facts remain ugly. Chrissy didn't just step out emotionally, she crossed into a space that was always supposed to be off limits. And whether she admits it or not, she knew exactly what she was doing. Camron, for his part, still hasn't offered any kind of public explanation, which some see as a power move while others call it pure cowardice. But those who know Cam know that silence is never just silence, it's calculated. He's letting the media spin itself into a frenzy while he watches from the sidelines, waiting for the perfect moment to drop something that will either blow the roof off or shift attention just enough to reset the narrative. And let's not ignore the whispers that are now suggesting this whole thing might have been a setup from the start. Some are floating conspiracy-level theories that Cam lured Chrissy and not out of genuine affection, but to get back at Jim once and for all for the business fallout that fractured Dipset years ago. According to that line of thought, this wasn't about love or chemistry, it was about ego, revenge, and proving a point. That theory, wild as it may sound, is gaining traction because the pieces fit a little too perfectly. A crumbling friendship, unresolved beef. A vulnerable woman stuck in a stagnant relationship, and a man with a history of getting even rather than getting mad. It reads less like a coincidence and more like a script that's been playing out in the background while the rest of us were distracted. And now that background drama is front and center, and the damage is undeniable. There's also talk of legal moves being made, not in the romantic sense, but in the business sense. Contracts, endorsements, and brand deals that involve Jim, Cam, or even Chrissy are now under review. One fashion sponsor that had previously worked with Jim has reportedly paused an upcoming campaign, citing concerns about negative attention. And Chrissy, who had been pitching a reality TV spin-off based on her empowered woman brand, is now facing quiet rejections from producers who don't want to touch the scandal unless it can be spun into ratings gold. In the midst of it, all Jim is said to be reevaluating not just his relationship, but his entire circle. Some sources claim he's cut off several longtime friends who failed to alert him about what was happening behind his back. He's allegedly moved out of the home he shared with Chrissy and is now staying in a private location while deciding what comes next. And the question on everyone's mind, will he take her back? Will he pull a love and hip-hop twist and forgive her on camera? Or is this truly the end of the road for one of hip-hop's most dysfunctional but enduring couples? Meanwhile, fans are still eating this up like it's the final season of a drama they've been watching since 2006. Every post, every tweet, every old clip of Chrissy and Cam in the same room is being reanalyzed with fresh suspicion. Body language. Experts, real and self-proclaimed, are doing TikTok breakdowns. Internet detectives are comparing time stamps, outfits, and background music to pinpoint when exactly this alleged affair began. And through it all, Dipset fans are left grappling with the disintegration of a legacy they grew up on. Because let's face it, Cam and Jim weren't just collaborators, they were culture. They helped shape an era, and now the era is ending. Not with a reunion tour, but with betrayal, exposed secrets, and a possible breakup that could change everything. The final straw may have already been pulled. One anonymous source claimed that Jim recently confronted Cam in person, not in some dramatic fight, but in a cold, quiet exchange where he said, "You knew what she meant to me." And Cam's alleged response? "You left the door wide open." That line alone has now become a viral quote online, plastered on memes, dissected in YouTube breakdowns, and turned into captions by influencers who love a good scandal. But for Jim, it wasn't just a punchline. It was the final confirmation that the betrayal was real, intentional, and impossible to undo. And Chrissy? Last anyone checked, she'd gone radio silent. Her Instagram turned private. No stories, no selfies. No product promos. Just silence. The kind that makes people wonder if she's hiding out, regrouping, or getting ready to come back with a brand new explanation. But even if she does, it might be too little, too late. Because some betrayals don't come with do-overs. Some scars stay exactly where they landed. The Dipset legacy may survive this storm, but it'll never be the same. And for Jim Jones, this may be the moment he finally lets go not just of Chrissy, but of everything and everyone that played a part in breaking what they once built together. So, now that the dust is barely starting to settle, we want to hear from you. Do you think Camron crossed a line that can never be forgiven, or is Jim Jones partly to blame for letting things fall apart in the first place? Is Chrissy just a woman, tired of waiting on commitment, or is she playing a dangerous game with two men's legacies? And let's not forget, does this mark the official end of Dipset as we know it? The drama, the betrayal, the secrets, this isn't just tea, this is a whole boiling kettle about to overflow. Drop your thoughts in the comments below because, trust we're reading everything. Did Cam really mean it when he said, "You left the door wide open," or is that just another petty excuse wrapped in toxic ego? Should Jim speak out or keep playing it cool? And most importantly, can anything be salvaged from this mess? Make sure you hit that like button if you live for drama this juicy. Subscribe to the channel for more wild exposes and tap that bell, so you never miss the truth when it hits. Because baby, this ride isn't over, it's just getting started. Stay tuned. We've got more coming and it's messy than ever.